Hey, hey. Mo, 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 mo. Whew.
I
How are
needed a
you?
little extra dancing today. Sorry, I was on mute and
Yes.
everything. I was just jive.
Mhm.
I was like just relaxing into that moment.
Yeah,
How are you?
I'm great. We're at the beginning of season 10. It's relaxing and dancing into the moment of season 10. Yes. I'm
Right.
good, but yeah, ready for this book. We are 2 weeks out. I'm excited about it. Excited for the conference, everything that we're getting ready to announce, and there's just a lot of big things coming. So I'm still on cloud nine from like everything that's been going on, from just the fact that Shayla Glow is a business and we're in the third year. So it's just continue to celebrate. Is how I'm feeling right now.
Right? There's a
Yeah,
lot to celebrate. Like,
yeah,
I know there's a lot of chaos in the world and there's a lot of hard work going on.
yeah,
And, as you're always reminding me, we have to stop and celebrate along the way. Like,
absolutely.
we are, yeah. So, should
Yeah.
we do our intro and then tell our listeners what we're celebrating?
Absolutely, absolutely. Hi, ladies. I am Shannon Mitchell, a Black millennial business owner, the founder of Shaylo Glow LLC, an all-natural handmade personal products company. I'm a champion for your natural self-care, business care, and intentional wellness.
Hi, y'all. I'm Christine Gautreaux, a white social justice advocate, an international speaker, coach, and published author, and dancing social worker who helps you upgrade yourself and community care.
Yes, and together we are Women Connected in Wisdom, a podcast rooted in the 8 dimensions of wellness.
And we like to get together every week for intentional conversations about how to be wise in business, relationships, and wellness. How do we do this?
Yes, yes. And today we are talking about environmental wellness. And environmental wellness is supporting your gut health by occupying pleasant, stimulating environments that enhance well-being. It promotes interaction with nature and also creating enjoyable personal environments, both in and out of your workspace. This includes knowing the types of environments you thrive in and having an intentional relationship with these places, including the earth.
Mm, it's one of my favorite topics is
Yeah.
the environmental wellness.
Mhm.
And with the book that's coming out in 2 weeks. Oh, I should point this
Yes.
way. It's Office Book. That we have some really good chapters on environmental
Yeah.
wellness. We have Melody LeBaron, who talks about how to have a relationship with your home and
Mhm.
your land, and so much to learn. And she just gave a whole host of resources in that chapter. And she was
Yeah.
on last week as we were celebrating with our authors.
Yes, you would.
And then Dr. Melissa Bird talking about the Mermaid's Garden and talking about accessing your dreams and sustainability. Like, and what I love is one's East Coast and one's West Coast. Like, there's different perspectives, but so valuable.
Yeah. And for me, both of those ladies remind me of my voice, right? My voice to thank and connect. Thank you for the space that I have to occupy. I have somewhere to sleep every night. I have a job in a building who helps me fund everything that I'm doing and the work that I'm doing in the world. So I thank my workspace. I thank the space at home. And that helps me stay present in the moment, and whatever my goals are at that moment helps me stay focused on those things. And then with Melissa, her tenaciousness reminds me that, hey, don't forget to keep saying what you need. If you do not have it yet, and that's the reality of the situation, sometimes the season is not 24 hours, like you're binging on Law and Order or Lock and Key or something like that. So if you don't still have it, make sure that we're using our voice to continue to ask for what you need.
What are you currently binging on?
Oh, women connected in wisdom, all of our stuff that we have going on. That's what the binge is.
Do you
Yes.
have anything that you zone out with?
Oh, Ozark,
Okay.
Ozark, and last night it was Lord of the Rings. I was fighting with who is it, Frodo and Gandalf last night.
Okay, because the
Um,
new one came out.
yeah, and so the Power of the Rings, I know it's coming out. So TV for me, we didn't always have TV, you know. So I was
Right.
that kid that was at work. I've been working for the past 20 years, more than that
Mhm.
now. Um, and so that's what it has been over COVID. As I've been working on my intellectual wellness and my financial wellness, all this information, I need to just go watch something and be entertained. So Chef's Table, they have a new pizza version. We love pizza and like cooking from scratch. So we've been watching that. And Lock and Key, we watched and finished it. What else? Ozark, we took a break on. Too much mob like movements is getting stressful. I'm stressed, you know, trying to figure out what's going on with the cartel. So
Well, that's a good
yes.
thing to notice, right?
Hmm.
With emotional and mental wellness and also
Yeah.
physical wellness, like checking in with yourself. And if the
Yeah.
thing that you're accessing to relax and is causing you stress, then
Hmm.
take a pause,
So
right?
important. So, and even with intellectual wellness, you know, today, my other business partner, shout out to Sino and Shaylo Glow, was messaging me. We were working on our stuff, right? He's messaging me
Mhm.
about this amazing opportunity workshop or whatever masterclass it was. And I said, I'm at the capacity of input information. I know that I need to pause because again, like we talked about last week, we have to have the application phase, you know, just
Mhm.
continually to input and input. Now it's a self-sabotaging habit because we're beating ourselves up that, oh, I can never act on anything. I can never get anything done. We're doing great things, learning great things, putting energy towards things that are good for us. But if it's not realistic workflow and we're not applying it, it's just more information that we don't have the space or capacity to do anything with. And we believe in wisdom and action. So yeah,
Well, can I just commend you for that
thank you.
boundary and that no? Because you know, in
Yeah.
Stillpoint, the fifth skill of self care is that saying no in order to say yes to things. So
Yeah.
you say, it maybe wasn't even a hard no; it was a not
Yeah.
yet, or
Right.
not right now.
Exactly.
I was talking to Shannon Ivy last night, one of our
Mm.
authors.
Yes.
What? Okay, she did the chapter. I should know it off the top of my head, but she did an awesome chapter in the book, and we were having a discussion about schedules because we're both in launch phases. She has
Yeah.
actually tonight. She has a story
Mm.
slam in Columbia,
Oh. Oh.
which we can't be in two places at once. But I
Right.
want us to consider going next month and
Mm.
doing her story slam and a book signing in Columbia next
Okay.
month. Wouldn't
Let's
that be
talk about
fun?
it. Let's
Right?
talk
To
about it.
just take a little trip. I think that would be
We've been
super
talking
fun to
about it.
be in Columbia together. But
Me
we
too.
were having a conversation, and what she shared, and I think she'd be okay with me sharing it on
Mhm.
air, I hope, is that one of the things she notices when she gets too much on her plate or is overwhelmed is she loses her sense of humor. Which for anybody
Mhm.
that's ever met Shannon, like she's
Mm.
hysterical. She
Yeah.
is funny and
Mm.
she's like, I know that's one of my indicators that I have to say no to something or take something
Mm.
off my plate when I
Mhm.
start to lose my sense of, and I thought that was just beautiful and brilliant,
Yeah.
because I can resonate with that. Like when I
Mhm.
get, I always say I'm a recovering serious person, and when I get into that serious mode and I'm not letting the play and the joy, yeah, that's one of my
Yeah.
indicators too.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I don't know if I would have ever said it like that because usually when I notice it is at work, right? And the
Mhm.
most that I've been at work in very high tense situations has been in the restaurant. So yes, I play and we have a good time, but a lot of times because it is so serious and I am responsible for so much, it's easy to kind of keep that separate anyways. So when I feel like I'm getting a little bit tighter or my responses are getting a little shorter, it is the same thing. When I'm losing my sense of humor, that's when, for me though, it ties into what we're talking about today, the environmental
Right.
wellness. Is my team where they need to be so that I'm not overextended and I can stay in the flow of the capacity that I'm supposed to be over and still be able to joke and take care of people lighthearted and still keep the operations going. Things start
Right.
stretching, it gets a little bit tighter, and now we have all these other conversations to have.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that. When I think about environmental wellness, what was bubbling up was the Global Healers Conference that we spoke at last weekend.
So
And
good.
what a beautiful environment they created for their
Yeah.
speakers and their audience. And
Mhm.
I think people can still access those recordings if they need to.
Yeah.
But I just was thinking about that, about the environment of love and really being intentional with our body. I mean, it's so many of the dimensions woven in together, right?
Mhm.
But I was thinking about that. I was thinking about, you know, we have many facets of work that we do, right?
Yeah.
And how we apply it to our work and our life.
Mhm.
Like, you know, I know in my home life, like I like my kitchen to look a certain way.
Yeah, me too.
And I like to wake up in the morning and it looks a certain way. And I live with 3 other adults, you know, my husband and 2 grown children. So
Yeah.
sometimes I wake up and it does not look the way that I am anticipating, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so I try to communicate my needs there because it really is part of my wellness to how my
Mhm.
day starts, right?
Mhm.
And the systems that I have in place to keep that.
Yeah.
I know this isn't really a left turn, but I just have to say it. This week
Mm.
in Georgia, y'all, I don't know where our listeners are listening from. And if you want to put it in the comments, put it up
Yeah.
and
Let
we
us
will
know.
put you up there. But Georgia has been gorgeous this
It's
week.
beautiful.
Like it has been a hint of fall. I walked out, I think it was yesterday, and it was 54 degrees, and like you got the smell of fall in the air,
Yeah.
like the dogs zipping around. I'm zipping around. What's your favorite season, Shannon?
Mm. It's really hard for me to pick, actually, and when I realized that, it made me realize how much I love being inside or outside. If I
Mhm.
had to pick, though, ooh. Okay, so first I'm gonna say spring because it's my birthday, and I love all the songs about, my girl and spring and the sunshine coming out, that always makes me feel better, so I love spring, but I also love fall. I'm a band nerd, so that's why I love that the book, um I'm not gonna give too much away, but it starts off on a nerdy note. Like the nerd in me, like it's when I talk about maximized and exponentiated, okay? I love it. And so I think about football. We were at every game except for one when the buses didn't run, okay? But out of 4 years, if the band didn't make it to one game, forgive us because they used to play us anyways, okay?
Right?
But I love fall. We had come through the summer. My dad was doing the lawns over the summer, and then I was finally able to go back to school, start band camp, and it was like the beginning of the semester. So yeah.
Mhm. When fall is coming, fall is my favorite, and when spring is coming, spring is my
Mm,
favorite. I'm hard pressed to pick one of those 2, but they
same.
definitely rise up above winter and summer just because of the
Mhm.
extremes sometimes.
Extremity.
I
I
mean,
like it when they're here.
I
I like the
absolutely,
onset of fall. I do like
absolutely.
the onset of fall, but the onset of spring is so cold, and you don't know if you're supposed to be cold or like half skin out,
Right?
and then it's like, yeah, no, that's not fun.
But see, in Georgia, I don't know how you feel about it, but for
Yeah.
me, like, we've come through a hot, humid summer, and
Mhm.
then you just start getting that. It gives me energy. Like, it
Mm.
literally what I notice in my body is it gives me energy. Now, that could
Mm.
be the excitement around the book. Whoop, that
Mhm. Yeah.
it could be all the things we have going on, but I don't think so. I think it is like it's in the air. Like,
Yeah.
ooh, we're about to have some campfires. We're about to have
Mhm.
sweaters. We're
Mhm.
about to have some
Roasted
snuggle weather.
marshmallows. Yeah.
Well, and fall, I wrote a spoken word poem about it, about fall being
Mhm.
my favorite season years ago because of meeting my sweetheart and just everything it brings to me.
You know
Yeah.
what? Well, I guess we met in the summer. We met in August 3 years ago, but I hear you on that. Yeah, I love all the seasons, but spring and fall. I mean,
Right?
yeah, I like the holidays too. I really try to respect the season for the season that it is and see what I can look forward to. But this year especially, I've been looking forward to the fall. We knew we had the book coming out. We have our first conference, like all of these things that I've been participating in other people's stuff for decades, and now it's like I'm not going to the women's conference at church this year. I have my own women's conference, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
We need to invite all your folks, to
Yes.
come. Yeah.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we
And we
are. We're
will put in our
talking
show notes, y'all. We will put how to register for the conference that is live now. There are free tickets available and there are
yeah.
VIP tickets available. For the free tickets, you get access to all of the sessions for all 4 days. We have over 18 speakers. And then for the VIP, you get access to all the recordings in case you can't make ones and you want ones. And you want not just
One.
one, but you want all the recording. You know what I
Yeah, you
mean.
do. Yeah.
And a gift box that is coming to
Ooh,
you that we're
yes.
working
We're
on.
working
That's
on.
going to have some fun stuff for environmental
Cool.
wellness. I
Yes.
was prepping for today's show because I knew we weren't going to have a guest just because of
Yes.
travel of the guests we originally had scheduled. And I came upon this environmental wellness toolkit.
Ooh.
It's really cool. Do you want to know where I found it?
Where did you find it?
It is actually, let me pull it up and I'm going to put it on. It's at the National Institute of Health.
Mm,
So, I know you and I take environmental wellness very seriously, but I'm like, oh,
yeah,
they got some research money behind this one.
that part.
So, and I'm going to put this in the link to our show notes, but they did research around it. And
Mm,
basically, what it was talking about, and we talk about this every time we talk about environmental wellness,
yeah.
is what surrounds you each day in your home, your work, or your neighborhood, and the resources available to you can affect your health.
Mm,
Like we know that, right? We know that with what's going on in Jackson, Mississippi. We
mm-hmm.
know the disparities that often happen in black and brown neighborhoods versus
Mm-hmm.
white neighborhoods. Like we know this, from living our lives.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also talking about taking small steps, which I love that, my incremental
Yeah.
steps, right?
Yeah.
To make your environment safer and limiting your exposure to potential harmful substances can keep you healthier. So they have 7 strategies, and they also have a printer-friendly version of this page. So we're going to
Mm,
put all that in the show notes because it's pretty cool. The first thing that they say is to make your home healthier. So take a look around your home. Do you know what's in your household good and products? Some chemicals can harm your health if too much gets into your body. Becoming aware of potential harmful substances and clearing them out can help keep you and your family healthy. What's a product that you
mm,
used to use or
mm.
maybe still use that you know not healthy for you?
Ooh, that I used to use, or you know what? I'm gonna go on the healthy side. I'm gonna go on the healthy side and say something that might not be a normal answer. I'll say food grade hydrogen peroxide. Okay.
Mm.
And if you were to not dilute this, it'll start burning your skin. Like I had to put some Neora stuff from my old network marketing company and the shea butter on it to stop the burning. So it could literally be like a water ball, or like a water balloon weapon. Okay. But I used it because it's amazing for cleaning surfaces, for so many different health benefits. I gave it to my mom when she had cancer. Her
Mhm.
nails started growing out, her jaundice in her eyes and stuff like that was going away. And it was because it was purifying her body, right? But again, if you don't dilute it correctly, there could be different things. So I instead have now changed to the 7th generation spray that we spray everything with. A
Okay.
little milder, and you don't have to worry about the possibility of it getting on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
what
still
they
love it
say, right? The
though. Mhm.
tips that they say to reduce potential toxins in your home is clean with safer choice or non-toxic products. So there you
Mhm.
go. So
Mhm.
mine would have been bleach. Like
Mhm.
we grew up using bleach to clean and it
Yeah.
has really good properties. But if you've ever gotten a little bleach on your fingers and you're in tune with your body, like I know immediately if I've touched bleach, I can feel
Mm.
it as it moves through my body. And I
Mm.
was like, yeah, I mean, we still have some because there's certain things we need to use it around the animals and stuff.
Mhm.
But I'm really cautious with
I hear
how much or if I use it and the dilution rate.
you. Mhm.
So they also say dust using a damp rag, which is
Mm.
interesting because you often think about doing it with a feather duster, but they
Mhm.
say use a damp rag because then that helps the dust not go into the air. Um,
Smart.
use a wet mop to clean the floors, same concept.
Mhm.
Um, vacuum with a high efficiency particulate air or HEPA filter.
Okay.
Um, you know what I learned recently for environmental wellness? And I
What?
learned it through trial and error. And I apologize to my kid's ex boyfriend because he had asthma. And,
Mm.
when people come over to my house, I often vacuum right before they come. I mean, I
Mhm.
vacuum on the regular, but before somebody's coming, one of the things I do to spruce up is vacuum.
Yeah.
Well, I read a study around asthma that when you vacuum, it throws up
All the
all the
particles.
particles in the air.
Yeah.
So then that actually makes it worse for somebody coming in that has allergies or asthma. And so
Mm,
you want to vacuum like a day before they come. I thought that was
mhm,
just fascinating. Like, right? I'm
mm.
like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I thought I was being helpful, and no.
I like that. And it's preparedness month, isn't it? So prepare by vacuuming the day before and not the day of.
Right?
Hmm.
Open a window or use a fan to improve air circulation when you're
Yeah.
cleaning. I mean,
Mhm.
that's a this time of year, it's a no-brainer. And Melody talks about that in her classes about the flow of energy throughout
Mhm.
your houses too. It's not just about cleanliness, but it's also just the energetics of being able to open your windows and let stale energy out.
Mm.
Having maintain a good ventilation system in your home and wash your hands and your children's hands often, which I think if we haven't gotten that after the last 2 years of the ban.
But and there's a lot that's missing. You know, we talk about the vaccine, we've talked about the hand washing, we talk about a lot that's definitely beneficial and should be looked at, but we have a lot of other stuff too that we can do to be preventative and take care of ourselves, right? What does
Right.
Eleanor say? Vinegar and baking soda clean everything. Yes, all
Yes.
natural, hypoallergenic, non-toxic, no strong smells. So, okay, I have a question though,
And
Eleanor,
it
because
worked for
works for
grandma.
grandma. So I started
Yes.
using the vinegar, right? I started using the vinegar before I went to seventh generation. I was trying to put some lemons in it and make it smell like lemon pine sol. You know, I knew I like the lemon scents, and it still smelled like vinegar. Are you using? I want to know, Eleanor, using white like cleaning vinegar? What type of vinegar do you use?
I
But
love
yeah,
that.
I love going towards the more natural side, and I learned that in college, working at Lupa's Kitchen, the naturopathic doctor that started me on the kombucha and the natural remedies and really food as your medicine, more delving into that education. That's when I started looking at the cleaners and the inhalation that we do when we're cleaning
Right.
stuff, you know? So I've even started using gloves so that it doesn't soak into my hands.
I think that's smart. One
Mhm.
of the tricks I do for the smell part, Shannon,
Mhm.
is how when you get a big old bag of tangerines or
Yeah.
oranges, I take the peels and I
Mhm.
stuff them in a quart jar. And
Mhm.
then I just keep them in the fridge. And once the jar gets full, I fill it up with vinegar and I let it sit for a couple of days. And
Mhm.
so it makes this like orange vinegar cleaning solution that
Mhm.
smells great and it works. Those door-to-door people that used to come around with the orange spray?
I think so.
It's like a natural remedy for that,
Mhm.
and it gives me something to do with my orange pills.
Yeah, and we just had a bag of oranges last week, so we definitely could have done that. Eleanor says white vinegar, smell goes away fast. Smell goes away fast.
Like, if
Okay.
you smell
I'm gonna
it.
have to try
Okay.
it. Yeah, exactly. Because
Okay,
that
thank
vinegary
you,
smell,
Eleanor.
yeah, it's not the move, not the move. But no, I hear you on the yes, I hear you on a clean environment, what you see, helps
Mhm.
me. When I think about environmental wellness, I think about the social aspect of it, right? Because it's not just visually what we see, but also audibly, right? What we hear can affect our spirit and our bodies a certain way. What were you gonna say?
Well, I was gonna ask a question. Do you like
Yeah.
it quiet? Do you listen to music? Is there background noise? What is
Mhm.
your optimum environmental wellness?
So it depends on the situation. What I was specifically referring to, what I think about is in the morning, right? In the morning, if I have too much of outside input, it kind of throws me off because my cup might not be all the way full yet, right? So if I log on my computer to go check my email and then I see that this person, like this rapper, got shot at Waffle House, well, wow, yeah, it's crazy. Somebody shared a location in real time, and we talk about working on social media, and now this gentleman, this young rapper is gone. That's gonna automatically alter my emotions. Right now, I'm thinking about black men, thinking about working on social media, being safe, thinking about the state of the world, everything we talk about. First, I need to journal. I need to center myself in gratitude, think about what I want to do for the day, make sure I have some water, make sure I've eaten, and then I can afford to you know, um, I have the capacity to put up the boundaries a little bit more. If they're not there, then it feels a little bit closer and it moves me a little bit easier. So I usually like it quiet. If I do play music, it might be instrumentals or lo-fi that don't have words because I'm specifically trying not to be swayed by the words of other people, whether it's the artist or whoever wants them to put this message out, you know? So if I'm listening to music, I love it. I want to hear the beat, the undertones. I want to hear the words and what the message is. And if I'm not there yet, I need to not input, like I said earlier, and
Right.
set up as a thermostat, set the environment first. And that's what helps me in my
I love
environmental
that.
wellness. Yeah.
Yeah, I usually start off really quiet.
Yeah.
I think about, because we were talking about making your home healthier and cleaning products. And
Yeah.
now when I'm cleaning, I'm jamming. Like, I like to turn the music up. I like to open all the windows if possible. The
Yeah.
prettier the day, the faster and the quicker I clean,
Mm.
which is always interesting to me, right? Because if it's a rainy, yucky day, I want to crawl in bed and read a book. But
Mm.
so like a day like today where the sun is shining, I'm like, ooh, let's open these windows and get to
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
Um, but I like to turn on some big tunes and jam. And if I'm cleaning, I like music that I can sing along to. But I
Mhm.
totally hear you with your, like, the lo-fi and the beat and the house music when you're needing to get stuff done, but no words,
Right.
right?
Yes,
I love
yes.
that. I
Yeah,
love
and
that.
I'm with you on the singing along too.
Mhm,
And then any other time, definitely music. I think I need to listen to more music actually. I have been listening to a lot of audiobooks so that I
mhm.
can use my downtime even more effectively. And again, I've realized I gotta do a limit on the intake of information because I'm just
Right.
gonna overwhelm myself and not hear what this person is saying, you know? Um, but yeah, outside of that, I definitely have a tuning playlist, and that's something I listen to tune my spirit a certain way, make sure certain words, certain notes, you know, put us in a certain mood. So I'm doing my scales and I'm ready to face the day with great energy.
I
Yeah, it
love
helps.
that. I love
Hmm.
that. Well, that's one of my wellness practices is singing out loud
Yeah.
I forget sometimes to listen to music. I like to, what has helped me with that? And I know there's mixed reviews on this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember where our first one came from. Our little dot, our little Alexa that
Hmm.
is connected, right?
Hmm.
Which we can be too connected, but we are women connected in wisdom. So the
Yeah.
electronic connection where I could just say, "Hey Alexa, play such and such uh on Spotify," and it just
Yeah.
booms, and it's like, okay, I love
Yeah.
that. And then if I don't like it, I can out loud say, "Hey, change it to
Yep. Yep. Hey, play Women Connected in
the
Wisdom podcast.
convenience, right? Right? Do you ever
Yeah.
listen? Do you ever
I've listened, so I listened to one of the episodes that I missed that I was not present for,
I remember
and
that.
when I was looking for, the new commercial, I listened the other day, but it's interesting, I don't go back and listen. I've started now, that was my inner voice, like, nervous that I would, instead of enjoy it, pick it apart. But when I
Right.
listened back to myself today, I said, I did a good job. I guess I'm a good speaker. I'm on top of the world and I'm still questioning myself, you know, but not as much as you might think that I go back to listen to them. Yeah, not
Well,
yet.
not
I
that we
will.
have time with everything
Yeah,
else we have
right.
going
We're
on.
to the next episode.
I was thinking about that this week because,
Yeah.
we're on episode 85 and
Yes,
I
we
was at
are.
the chiropractor and our receptionist is just a delightful person who is an artist and we've been chatting and really having a good time talking. And I was telling her because she asked how my weekend was because I was there on a Monday and I was like, "Oh, it was great. We spoke at the Global Healer Summit." And she's like, "Oh, were you nervous?" I was like, No." And she was
Mhm.
like, "You don't get nervous?" And I'm like, "Well, like, we do this all the time." So I said, "Occasionally I will get nerves." But, it reminded me of the last time I had huge nerves when she
Mm,
asked me that. And
mm,
that was when I was asked to speak at the United Nations at the Status on the Commission of Women. And on the Commission of the Status of Women, I always flip that around. And this was pre-pandemic, right? And they called to ask me to speak about a project I was doing with refugees from Turkey and
mhm.
interplay and building community
Yeah,
and they called to ask me to be a part of a project to speak on that. And I was like, of course, yes, right? Because that's what I do. And then I got off the phone and I completely freaked out. Like I just was like, oh my gosh, what did I just say yes to? Right.
yeah,
And I called Shannon Ivy, actually, who's one of our
mm,
authors in the book. And
yeah,
she gave me some of the best advice that anybody has ever given me. And this was before she was officially coaching. And I was like, you got to be a coach because this was fabulous. She
yeah.
said to me, I need you to welcome yourself.
Mhm.
They have welcomed you, and I need you to welcome yourself to this opportunity. And I was like, it just settled my spirit so much that anytime I start to have a hint of nerves anymore, I just remind myself, I take a deep breath and I just, right? Whew, and I welcome myself because I really, I mean, I know after the years I've done work with clients and things like that, most of the time it's ourselves that put up barriers, right?
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
ourselves that say we're not good enough or our house
Mhm.
doesn't look a certain way, so we can't have people over, or we um we have to have this before we can do this, right? And
Yeah.
we put up these barriers in front of ourselves and we don't welcome ourselves.
Yeah.
And even when other people will welcome us, we tend to be like, I can't do that, right?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, and we talk about that on Shaylo Glow. There's this post that says, "Take the compliment, sis. Take the compliment." I had a guest tell me that one day at Papado. He was like, "I like your glasses," and I said, "Yeah, but there's a crack in them, right?" And he said, "Why do women do that? We compliment and then you immediately say something else." I say, I was about to say something else, but he wasn't wrong. So I
What?
took the feedback. I said, you know what? I'll work on that because I hear what you're saying. And I thought about all the ladies I was connected to. And yeah, we got to welcome ourselves. But I will also say we don't operate in guilt, right? We don't operate in shame. Those things do not help us. So there's a reason why the inner voice sounds a certain way, right? There's the reasons and ways that we're conditioned to talk to ourselves. And again, reasons why we end up in the situations that we're in. So as women right now, how can we be connected to the people who can help us in the areas? Maybe we genuinely need help somewhere. And okay, this is an opportunity that I have. What are the tools and the resources that I have in my hand, right? But then outside of that, are you in an environment that supports the well-being? Right? Everybody's like, how did you lose all this weight? I came back to this Papado location and all the mommies in the back and everybody who knew me when I was 50 pounds heavier is like, muy flaca. They talk about my booty being bigger. You're like, you're skinny here, your booty's big. How did you lose the weight, right? And we always have to start with water and mindset, right? Making sure that you know that you're worth it, that you're deciding to actually have the discipline. Do you know who this is? Who is Empower House? Hi, Empower House. Welcome to the show. Do you know who's behind the Empower House brand?
I can't. If I do,
Cool.
I have forgotten and I apologize.
Ooh, let's get
Let us
reacquainted.
know in Powerhouse. Yeah. And forgive us if we do know you, because we have been
Brands.
on deadline and so our brains are not at their normal capacity right now.
Right. Whew, my goodness, that's the truth.
It's
Jody.
Jody. Heck yes, we know Jody because we were just talking about the Global Healing Summit. Yay,
Yes,
Jody.
yes.
So glad you're with
Um,
us today.
but yeah, even like the Global Healer Summit, are you in an environment that supports your well-being? And again, I started losing weight by taking off meat, dairy, grains, all this stuff. How can we do that if at home we have pizza and sausages and chips and sodas? I need the environment to match with what my goal is to help me get there.
Well, I think that's awesome. Like, I mean, that's exactly what they're talking about. Like, when we're looking at this survey and it says improving your health, one of the first things they say is to, like, get rid of the toxic stuff. So, I
Mhm.
mean, just what you're saying is create the environment for success, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to know more about those 7 strategies?
Yeah, yeah, let's
All
delve
right.
deeper
I
into
think
it.
I'm gonna list them and then we'll pick which one we want to play with more because I know we may not have time to talk about all 7. So the first one we talked about was the make your home healthier. The
Mhm.
second was reduce your allergies. The third was let my tongue work today. Stay safe during hot weather. The next one was guard against cold weather. I love that they have them all at the same time because you never know what part of the world you're in.
Mhm.
Air quality in your health, stay safe in the water, and clear out the toxins in your home.
Mm.
I kind of want to talk about the stay safe in the water since water is life.
Okay.
You want to talk about that one?
Yeah.
So, what they say is summer is a great time to go out and have fun in the water. We know here in the Southeast, our summer is wrapping up and we're approaching fall. But it says recreational waters, including swimming pools, lakes, and oceans, can sometimes get contaminated with bacteria and viruses. and
Mhm.
even drinking water, like what's happening in Jackson, Mississippi, right?
Yeah.
Swimming in contaminated water can make you and your family sick, but you can take steps to stay healthier while playing in the water. So, this is also fascinating, right? And I know you have talked about this because of Shaylo Glow, but one
Mhm.
of the first things they say is shower before and after swimming, like putting that barrier on before you go into the water.
Yes. Yes. And especially when you're thinking about just your skin being protected in general, right? Like we're talking about the outside, the dangerous things that might be in the water or the air. Absolutely, having that barrier is going to help, but also making sure, not but also, but it's also because of the balance that it keeps, right? What I'm looking up right now is the pH balance, and whether it's water that we're talking about, your body or your skin, that pH balance being neutral and where it should be is what helps you stay where you want to be in that sweet spot where we believe as people that are intentional about our wellness that disease can't live, right? If you're making sure that you're proactive, if you're making sure that you're covered and you're balanced, then on the pH scale, you should be taken care of no matter what's in the environment or what happens because you're able to come back centered.
Right? Just
Hmm.
supporting our immune systems
Exactly.
is what I'm hearing you say there,
Yes.
right? Yeah, and some of the other things they go into in this article are pretty, I mean, common, like they're common sense, but they're sometimes good to be reminded, like try not to swallow the water. Like you don't know what the water's in there if it hasn't
Mhm.
been tested, right? Um, and stay out of the water if you have open wounds or cover them with waterproof bandages.
Mhm.
I love this one. Don't swim in water that looks murky or has an odor. Yeah, I'm good with that one.
Mhm. Definitely. Definitely.
Right? So they
Yeah.
go into all of these. It's and we're going to put this list, the environmental wellness toolkit, up on our show notes, and definitely have a resource for y'all for this. And it's fun. They also have, they can download it, right? Jody's laughing at us about the don't go into murky water. Yeah, what's a good choice, right? And you can also you can print it out. They have a printout for you, and they have ways and strategies to improve your environmental health.
Mm.
So I think even just bring an intentionality around it, right? I think if your environment isn't where you want it to be currently,
Mhm.
like don't beat up on yourself or get stressed. Just pick one
Mhm.
area. And what I work with my clients on sometimes when they're overwhelmed is setting a timer for 15 minutes and just doing 15 minutes of something to improve your area. And Melody did a video the other day that she posted that I'm going to find and put in our show notes because she talked about a whole thing about refreshing your bedroom and it
Mhm.
being one of the most important private spaces in our homes for environmental wellness. So I'm going
Mhm.
to find that link and put it in our show notes because it was fabulous.
Yeah.
So I want to list that for our listeners.
Who I was on LinkedIn and there was this article that they were talking about workplace conflict and what you should do to keep boundaries and stay in your power, things like that, right? So environmental wellness, I also think about that. What happens when
Mhm.
you're working on different parts of your wellness and now you see all these conversations you have to have. That was a post I put on social media this week. Like having the difficult conversations can lead to the health that you're looking for, but that's why we have to work on our communication, right? So what does that look like in a healthy way so that your partners or the people that you live with or whoever is affected by your now shift to be healthier, how do you communicate where you are, what you need, and how they can best support you, and do that in a way that teaches them how to treat you so we don't get our feelings hurt or have unrealistic expectations because things are not communicated.
Right.
Hmm.
Right. Well, I mean, when I think about that, I think about, have you ever been, I mean, I know you have, this is a
Hmm.
rhetorical question, but when you've had a fight with somebody
Hmm.
and the energy in the air or your environment is charged or it needs to be cleaned, right?
Mhm.
You need to open up that window and let the bad energy out and let some good flow in.
Mhm.
I think about that, about how that does affect us. It affects our emotional and mental wellness. It
Yeah.
affects everything.
Mhm.
So, when that happens in my house, like I will, um, I will light some incense and clean it out. I will light a candle and
Yeah.
put some intentions under the candle. I will get out some feathers and walk around and say some prayers and blessings in my house. And
Mhm.
I mean, there's all kinds of ways to clear space.
Mhm.
I do it with sound sometimes too, with chimes or my singing bells, and I will walk around. But I think so much is the intentionality, right? To
Mhm.
be aware that, oh, something heavy is sitting here. Have you ever
Yeah.
walked into a space and you're like, ooh, something went down in this space, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I usually feel it in a room. Let's say you walk in and you feel like there was a conversation that stops, or
Mm,
part of, even sometimes there might be a part of a conversation where you might not know somebody too well and you mention something, you could tell it hits a nerve, and then it's a redirection to another part, you know? So I think that's when I'm usually more attuned to it. It's not usually if I walk into an empty space with no bodies that I'm like, something happened here. You know,
mm,
it's usually the physical signs and things like that that I pay attention to.
yeah. I've had it happen both ways. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like just having that connection with the
yeah,
land and the space and things like
exactly.
that.
And that's why I
Yeah.
love Melody's chapter, you know, because it's not just about the pictures that you have and how you decorate it when you're in the house. It still affects the next people who are there. And if you're the next people who are there, how do you address that and set it up for, you know, what you need it to be? And so that's what I
Right?
love about it. I had somebody call me after our episode with Dr. Kemp, like, hey, you talk to trees, you know, we were talking about openness as a Christian and thinking about things a certain way, you know, when people might hear chimes and feathers and say, no, you're supposed to give it to God, and all these things
Mhm.
are anything but, you know, but in my mind, um, God created everything. So if we're talking about the energy, it's just like the water, it's just like everything that's here for us can work for my good. If I have
Mhm.
dominion over it, I can use the tools the way I need to use the tools to get what God says is mine. And what's mine is mine. So I'm just trying to get there in a certain spirit, in a certain heart posture. And in order to keep that healthy, I need to clear out the energy, because if not, I'm gonna have an attitude or
Right?
whatever's going on, you know. So yeah. Yeah, it's really important.
Right.
The environmental wellness.
Right.
Hmm.
Well, that tickles me that somebody called you for that, Shannon, and I hope the conversation was good, but I'm
It
like,
was great.
who created the trees? Like, of
Yep.
course
And
we right.
exactly. And that was the thing. We're not just supposed to have connection with the things that we build as man. It's where would we have been, you know, without the grocery
Right.
stores, somebody farming, hunting and gathering for us now, and all these
Mm,
things. These things were here before Walmart was in every city. So yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
It's the
fascinating.
reconnection
It's
back to
fascinating.
everything. And I told you environmental wellness for me was the biggest category that I was like, okay, I know that it says it's more out than just nature, but what else is there? And now I'm
Right.
realizing how much it permeates everything, how the
Right.
environment is set up. And especially going back to psychology, we talk about nature versus nurture, right? Nature is
Mhm.
biology, your parents, everything that you were born with that is genetic, that you can be genetically predisposed to things. But then that's only one third of it. We know that nurture is the other two thirds. So what is the environment like? What are the teachings like, the foundation of everything? That is really what molds the shape of the possibilities that come from people and the situations that they're in. So environmental is huge.
Well, and it's so tied to our physical and emotional and mental too. I mean, it's tied to all the other ones. But
Yeah.
like when you were saying that, I was thinking about like just how powerful it is for me to be outside with my feet on the ground and soaking in sunshine. But
Hmm.
that's tied to the physical wellness because of getting your vitamin D, right?
Yeah.
And it's like it's all so interconnected.
Hmm.
And but I think it's good how we break them down and we look at like incrementally, okay, so what can I do for my environmental wellness this week?
Yeah.
Like what can I'm getting ready to go on a trip,
Hmm.
and I will be tuning in next week from Boulder, Colorado when we do the show. I'm going to go
Nice.
out and see my nibblings.
Mm,
And as I don't know if you do this, but when I get ready for a trip, I like my house to be completely clean. Like I like
yeah.
my environment. There's two reasons. As I'm straightening and cleaning and doing laundry and all that, I'm packing. So like
Hmm.
I'm kind of looking at every room, every system, have I forgotten things like that. And then I love that when I come home, everything is is how
Ready.
I just like
Exactly.
that I come home, and it just and my mom taught me that. And
Yeah.
sometimes it drives the people I live with crazy because I get even, I want it to be a certain way. Jody's with me. She says, "Yes, she's with me."
Yes.
Yay, right? I'm not,
Yes.
yeah. And so
You're not by
I
yourself.
I'm not by myself in this.
No.
And so so I'm thinking about that in the environment today. How do I want to leave it? And
Yeah.
my adult children are going to be here while I'm gone. So, they are going to be here, but my piece of it, and also setting them up for success or not, how sometimes when we're in a hurry, we leave things a mess. And then,
Mhm.
but I'm like, okay, I'm going to be gone for a couple of days. So I need things to be in a certain way
Yeah.
for their wellness, for my wellness. And yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know why I went off on that story. I guess I was just thinking about what's next,
Yeah.
that I'm going to get to be in a whole travel for me as part of my environmental wellness. Like I get to
Mhm.
go out to the Rockies. I get to go. Actually, Jody's from Longmont originally. She's not there anymore, but her sister's there. And
Mm.
that part of the world, I don't know that I would ever live there full time, but I love to visit it. I love to go out. We're going to do about 3 days of camping near the Rockies, and I'm delighted to be
Yes.
able to disconnect just for a few days before we launch this book and have some time to reset myself.
And I think that is so important, right? The environment that supports healthy habits, right? That supports you getting stuff
Hmm.
done. This is what happens when the workflow is at a certain space. This is what we need to be able to leave and come back. But also that part, the rest, right? How does it look?
Hmm.
What does it look like to unplug? What do you need to do? Whether it's a, hey, I'll be out of the office email, or setting up schedules with the team so they know where you're at in the communication, right? Or if it's for you, like making sure your bags are at the door. I know when I'm traveling, I can't pack too early because of last night. I'm not sleeping. I'm excited. Like the next day is the first day of band camp, and I cannot wait to get out the door. So those things help me.
Right. I've been having that conversation with myself for the last 2 days because I didn't sleep that great last night. And I think it's
Yeah,
because I'm excited. And,
yeah.
my nibblings are now 3 years old and we talk on the regular. And so for this whole week, we've been talking every morning when they get up, which is early for them. And it keeps getting earlier because they're getting excited I'm coming, which my sister's
Mhm.
like, "Mm." But like this morning, Noxie, was in the FaceTime and he said, Tia, one more sleep. And he actually kind of thought it was today. We had to realize, no, you have one more sleep. It's not completely done because, he's 3. He's trying to figure it out. It was
Mm.
so stinking cute. So I was like, yes, sir. And I hope that your Tia sleeps one more sleep before I get on that
I
plane
need you to
because it's
sleep.
a dawn flight, right? It's a dawn
I hear
flight.
you.
But I
I
have to
agree.
tell you, I put up the ticker on the bottom for folks
Yeah.
that are watching. For the folks that are listening, our womenconnectedinwisdom.com website is now live.
Yes.
I haven't been talking about it because I got a little into my perfectionism. And, but I realized this week, all right, we're launching this bad boy. And
Yes.
there are, there's a few things that I would like to be a little different and they may become a little different, but for right now, it's up there and it's awesome. And we'd
Yeah.
love for y'all to go check it out. There
Yeah.
will be episodes of the podcast if you want to look around. They're not all up there yet, but they're coming. Our upcoming conference is listed on there.
Whoop, whoop.
Our right, the way to
Yes.
register for the free conference,
Yes.
and all
Seats
of
are
that is
filling
now
up.
live. And then a really gorgeous picture of the book and that it's coming on the 27th. And when it is available, we will put the link to buy the book on there too. So it is all coming together, my friends. Like it's, yeah.
It is. It is. And I'm so excited. When I started, thank you so much, Eleanor. When I started Shalo Globe with my unemployment at the beginning of COVID, and then it's cut off. The unemployment cut off. I said, Lord, what are we gonna do? And we set out all this stuff, and part of it could be like, is it really gonna happen? But we have the support system. We've been doing the work to get it done, and I'm so proud of how far we've come. We have the product and the podcast and the book and everything else we've been talking about to get women really connected because we know what it looks
Mhm.
like when you're at the edge and about to pass out from overextension, and we don't want to keep getting there. So I'm excited for you ladies to be part of the conference, and we already have seats filling up. So if you're interested, make sure that you grab your seat. Make sure that if you want the recordings and you know you need them, you know you need to go through the 8 dimensions a couple of times with our experts, go ahead and get the VIP ticket so that you can be the person that gets that amazing goodie bag that's going to increase your self wellness, which Christine is amazing at doing, and your community wellness, and plugging in so that you can have what you need to be really well dimensionally.
Right? I'm
Yeah.
so excited about it. I just can't. I was thinking today we were doing our pre-production for the show,
Yeah.
and I had a question that I was struggling to find the answer to in the amount of time we had. And I was like, all right, who do I know that knows the answer to this? And I jumped on LinkedIn, and I just want to give a shout out to Marsha Chadley. She's an expert. She does YouTube videos. We're going to have her on the show. We just haven't gotten it coordinated yet when she's coming, but she's
Yeah.
an expert on Mighty Networks. And my question was around Mighty Networks. And so I just reached out to say, hey, do you have a video about this? Or do you have, can I book a coaching session with you? And because I'm like, we're all about women connecting wisdom, right? I know somebody in my network that knows the answer to this. And she was like, oh, this is simple, and responded right there to me. And just
Mhm.
such gratitude, and just really the power of connection and relationship, and just women supporting women. I'm so grateful for this community, and for what we're building.
Yes, yes. And before I give you my women, my wisdom in action, because I do have an idea for at least one. I also want to give you a shout out, Christine, because at the beginning of the podcast, you said you can't be in two places at once, and this week I was literally in two places at once because of you. And I know we've already been talking about it, but the Global Healer Summit, being able to record it after my podcast slid off the top of my car on the highway,
Oh, not your
and
podcast, your
ah,
computer.
Lord, my
That's
computer,
okay.
yes. Podcast still here. Computer is gone, okay? After my computer slid off, you and your amazing connectedness, your tech savvy, everything that you've been doing for the past, what, 4 years now? I know it hasn't always been on our platform. But yeah, shout out to you being a
Thank you.
super connector
Yeah.
and getting us on the Global Healer Summit. It was amazing to present.
Yeah.
I've been loving to hear what's been coming back, and I'm excited for more.
And gratitude for Jody, and for inviting us. And she said the presentation was wonderful. We had
Thank you
such
so
a
much.
good time talking
Yeah.
about the 8 dimensions of wellness and meeting all the
Ooh,
folks. Every presentation was just delightful. I learned so much, Jody, and yours.
mhm.
Jody did, y'all. We'll put Jody's links in our show notes for Empower House, but she did this whole session on breathing, and these breathing sequences for health and vitality. And
Mhm.
Jody, if you'll put it in the comments, I'll put it up here about the system or your website.
Yeah.
It was, so you're on this summit for 3 days, which being in front of a computer can just be like, for me it's draining. I don't know if it is for everybody, but for me it
Mhm.
can be like, ah. And Jody did her session, and I had all this energy, and I was just like, what?
Mhm.
It was incredible. So I want to study that a little bit more. I was really grateful. So, all right, let's
Yes.
talk wisdom in action, my friend.
Ooh. So, and I always break the rules. So I have singing out loud. I love that you said that. And I
Mhm,
did that today. Found out that John Powell, one of my favorite singers from the 90s, passed away.
mhm.
So I was belting his song, okay? Singing out loud. And I love what you just said too about breathing in Jody's presentation. So I'm also going to say, keep breathing.
Mm,
Breathe
I
through it.
love
Yeah.
that a lot.
Yeah.
I
What about
love that a
yours?
lot. I was trying to look up, and I'm not going to do it in a timely manner because you and I talked about it pre-show, and we're like, oh, we didn't watch, we can't talk about it.
Hmm.
I was trying to pull up the name of the actress who sang at the award show this week, and at the Emmys, and I'm probably gonna probably mess it up, so I probably
You got
shouldn't talk
this.
about it. But she got up there and accepted her award by singing, and it
Mm,
was gorgeous. And I will
mm.
put a link to that and to that clip in our show notes. And I apologize, sis, for not being able to call your name right at this moment. But yeah, so my wisdom and actions this week, um, for environmental wellness are. Hmm. I'm going to say hashtag create a space because I
Ooh,
am going to be traveling. And so there are a few things I like to travel with that create the space for me that, no matter where I'm at, that make it my space, whether it's a scent or whether it's a travel candle or it's my Shayla Glow coming with me. Like
mhm.
I'm going to remember to pack like those few things that when I get to where I'm going, I can create my space. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's funny. Create my space
Right?
when
Wait,
there
but
really used to be a
we've been there
MySpace.
and done that, right?
Yeah,
We've
we
been there
did.
and done
I used to be
that.
coding on MySpace. Um,
Jody says,
ooh,
hashtag refresh your bedroom. I
yes, I
love
like
that.
that too, Jody.
Yeah,
I love that.
absolutely.
Okay, so whew, beginning of season 10, we're going with the book. Get connected with us on the website if you're interested in the conference and the replays. It's going to be amazing. Our authors have been amazing, and I'm so grateful for you ladies for being on this journey. And thank you
Right.
for the invitation, Christine. It's been
Absolutely.
out of this
Super
world.
fun.
Yeah.
Next week, we are at episode 86. We're going to be
Yeah.
talking about occupational wellness with Kate Arms, and she's going to be talking about psychological safety. Like, she is incredible. She's coming to us from Canada. And Eleanor says, hashtag vinegar and baking soda, talking about environmental
Yes,
wellness. I
that's a
love
good
it.
one.
So, thank you so much, Jody. Yes, we are excited and we are delighted, and we're so grateful to be connected.
Yes, yes. Okay, ladies, thank you so much for joining us live at 5. We will be here again live next week at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll see you soon. And in the meantime, be well, be wise, and be whole. Good night.